Someone at your job is being nice to you in a way that makes your skin crawl. You can't prove it. You can't name it. You just know somewhere behind your sternum, in that place where your body knows things before your brain does, that something is off. That's the whole architecture of it. Passive aggression doesn't leave fingerprints. It doesn't send you a nasty email you can forward to HR. It operates in the spaces between words, the slight pause before they say good job, the way they CC your manager on an email that didn't need a CC, the meeting you weren't invited to, that you found out about 3 hours later when someone mentioned it, like you obviously already knew. And here's the part that makes it worse. When you try to explain it to someone else, you end up sounding like you're the problem, but what did they actually do? And you say, well, they kind of said my name in a tone, that's your case. My throat would tighten every time I saw their name pop up on my screen. Not because they'd screamed at me or humiliated me in front of the team, because they'd been so perfectly surgically polite that I couldn't even defend myself. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down why this behavior exists, who it specifically targets, and hand you a tool I call the behavioral impact statement, a word-for-word script that shuts passive aggression down safely without triggering a single HR conversation or making you look like the difficult one. Stay with me. Oh Lord, it is good to be here with you. Welcome back to the Confident Connection Lab. Genuinely glad you're here. If you've ever felt like you were losing a fight that was never officially declared, hit like. It tells the algorithm we exist. It tells me you exist. Either way, it matters. Let me take you back to a Tuesday afternoon in an open plan office. Not a dramatic Tuesday. One of those beige, fluorescent lit Tuesdays that smells like microwaved lunch and mild dread. I was presenting a project update, nothing fancy, just a status rundown to the team, and midway through my second slide, my colleague Marcus leaned back in his chair and said, slowly, deliberately, that's a bold direction. He smiled when he said it, and the room did that thing, that awful thing, where everyone suddenly got very interested in their laptops. My face went hot. Not because I was wrong. I wasn't wrong. The direction was fine, but because I felt the sting of something I couldn't name and could not respond to without looking defensive or thin-skinned. So I just said thanks and kept going. My voice was half a step too high for the rest of the meeting. I could hear it. That's the trap. Passive aggression is designed to make you either overreact or swallow it. And either way, you lose. If you push back, you're too sensitive. If you say nothing, the behavior repeats. Slowly, invisibly, like water finding a crack. Marcus did this for weeks. The slightly delayed responses to my messages, the questions in meetings phrased as compliments. I just want to make sure everyone understands what we're going for here, directed at me while looking at my manager. Here's what I didn't understand then, and what I want you to understand right now. Passive aggression is not random. It's strategic. It tends to aim at people who are conscientious, who care about being perceived as professional, who hate conflict, because those people are least likely to call it out. We absorb it. We go home and replay the meeting in the shower at 11 p.m. We are genuinely the ideal target. Psychology has a name for the mechanism. It's called indirect hostility, the expression of negative feelings through behavior, rather than direct communication, specifically chosen because it offers the aggressor plausible deniability. I call it the Teflon grenade. The explosion is real, the mess is real, but when you look at the person who threw it, nothing sticks to them. They're just standing there smiling, asking if you're okay. The Teflon grenade works because it exploits a gap, the gap between what happened and what can be proven. And introverts, overthinkers, people who process internally before they respond. We live in that gap. We second guess ourselves right into letting it go every time. So how do you shut it down? Not by blowing up, not by going to HR with a story about a tone. You shut it down with the behavioral impact statement. Here's how it works. The behavioral impact statement has 3 parts. The first part is what you observed, not what you felt, not what you interpreted, but the specific observable behavior. The second part is the impact of that behavior, concrete, professional, not emotional. The third part is a direct, calm request, 3 beats. You name the thing that happened in terms no one can argue with. You name the professional consequence and you make a clear ask. Let me walk you through it in real time. Step 1, name the observable behavior, not you undermined me, not you've been passive aggressive. Say, in the meeting today when I presented the project update, you said, that's a bold direction without offering a specific concern. Factual, documented, undeniable. Step 2, name the professional impact. That created ambiguity for the team about whether the direction had been approved. You're not saying you felt bad. You're saying the project was affected. This is the move that takes the conversation out of the personal lane and puts it in the professional lane, which is exactly where you want it. Step 3. Make the request. Going forward, if you have concerns about the direction, I'd like you to share them directly with me before or during the meeting so we can address them together. Direct, collaborative sounding, completely reasonable, impossible to argue with without sounding like the difficult one. You deliver this in private, never in front of the group. That's their playbook, not yours. You keep your voice even, quieter than feels natural, not cold, just steady. And then this is the hardest part. You stop talking, you've said the thing. Let the silence sit. Don't fill it. Don't add a sorry at the end. Don't soften it with a laugh. The silence is part of the statement. What happens next is interesting. Most passive-aggressive people are not prepared for this. They've built their whole strategy on the assumption that you won't name it. When you name it calmly, specifically, professionally, you remove the deniability. They have two choices: address it like adults or escalate into actual conflict that they are now clearly responsible for. Most of them will choose to dial it back, not because they've had a moral awakening, because their strategy just stopped working. Take a second. Think about the person at your job who's been doing this. Think about the last time you sat with it and did nothing. Just let it dissolve into your weekend. Think about how long that took. Now think about what it would have felt like to name it quietly in a hallway, 3 sentences, and walk away. There's something I need to say about the fear because I know it's there. The fear that if you speak up even this carefully, something will go wrong. You'll be labeled difficult. It'll escalate. HR will somehow make it your fault. That fear is legitimate. It's not irrational. Passive-aggressive people are often skilled at playing the victim when cornered. But here's what I learned the hard way. Silence is not safety. Silence is just delayed damage. Every time you absorb it and say nothing, you teach them the boundary doesn't exist. You're training them, and they are taking notes. The behavioral impact statement is how you retrain the dynamic. Not with anger, not with drama, but with clarity. Clarity is the thing. Passive aggression cannot survive. It requires shadow to operate. The moment you describe the behavior in plain, calm, specific language, you've turned on a light, and things that live in the dark tend to scatter. I have a question for you. Be honest in the comments. When you're dealing with a passive-aggressive coworker, do you tend to over-explain yourself, or do you go completely silent? I'm an over-explainer, always have been. I used to write 3-paragraph responses to 1-line slides, trying to somehow prove my professionalism through sheer word count. It never worked. Tell me yours below. I actually read these. Now that you know how to name the behavior, the next question is the boundary underneath it. Because shutting down passive aggression at work is only half the equation. The other half is learning why saying no, clearly, directly, without a spiral of guilt afterward, is the thing that keeps these dynamics from forming in the first place. If you've ever over-apologized for having a limit, or felt selfish just for protecting your own time, I covered exactly that in this audio right here. It's called The Simple Art of Saying No Without Feeling Guilty. It's about deep connections, real empathy, and why the kindest thing you can do for the people around you is stop pretending you don't have edges.